Booyah! Welcome back, everybody. Another Tuesday night chat with the Muskrat, Mr. Creole Catfishing. And tonight we are joined by none other than the OG Bumpin' Mike Greenwell.
What's up, y'all? How everybody doing?
I don't know if we can continue to call you Bumpin' Mike Greenwell. You seem to have every trick up your sleeve.
Gotta learn them all.
I was going to suggest a new nickname. I was going to suggest one. I'm going to start calling him Takedown Mike.
Takedown. There you go.
Takedown Mike, because that you post a lot of shorts, a lot of content with some of the best takedowns ever. I mean, I never get tired of seeing these things.
Oh, gotta love them takedown videos, man. Them takedown videos.
Yes.
The rod going down and the fish coming out of the water is the two best parts. That's the money shot of a fish being caught.
Oh,
is,
yeah.
is those two things right there. So before we get started here, let's get some hellos in the house. We fresh back from the gathering down in Chester Frost, Tennessee last weekend, and I see Mike Sampson in the house. Sampy drove down and met up with us, so it was always great seeing him. And so welcome in, Sampy. Stonefly 71. What's going on, Matt? John Boy's in the house. Welcome. Uptown, Chrissy Brown. What's going on, Chrissy? Thanks for stopping in. Greg Burgess is in the house. Joy Stewart was here. Looks like she had to step out early, but I appreciate her showing her support. Mama's watching over, so we got to be on our best behavior. And the real mama is in the house. What's up, Mom? Saying hello to everybody as well. Joe Newman's in the house. It just skipped on me.
That would be my brother, but he's on my YouTube account. So that way, if there's any confusion.
I think it was me. When I type it, it puts in for both of us.
Oh, it could be. It could be that too. Oh, I see. It's on both channels. Okay.
I see Ed Jenkins in the house. He was also at the gathering. Hooked me up with some Operation Vest with Net swag. So thanks, brother. It was good seeing you. Let me see. I'll try to catch back up. I scroll back up to the top here.
Josh Perham in the house. Let's see. One of my RCT brothers, Richard, Fishing and Freedom. What's going on, brother? We got the Benoit ladies in the house. Benoit Fishing Outdoors. What's happening? One of the River Warriors. What's going on, brother?
If you guys didn't see the video he dropped this weekend, it was just part one of I'm not sure if it's a 2 or 3 part series, but him and Zach got out on the water fishing 2-3 foot of water, catching they had a 43 and I'll just let you guys watch the video. A couple big fish.
I need to check that out.
Big fish. Bobcat's in the house. Got to see Bob over the weekend as well down there. Always great to meet up with Bob. He blessed me with his old Uncle Lou bumping rod. I never thought I would see another one again after all my stuff got stolen. And Bobcat had handed down his bumping rod to me. It meant the world to me, brother. I appreciate it more than you know. Mike Snow's in the house fishing Mid-South. He was also down at the gathering with us. We was getting ready to eat food, and he carries over like a 6 pound largemouth bass. he caught on the bank on a catfish rod. So I'm not sure what was going on there. Sean Abney's in the house. There's Chris and Telly Hooks and Hammocks. Saw them as well this weekend. We had a lot of fun down at the gathering. We did have a little bit of rain, but it wasn't too bad. And so catch fish with us. Some good friends of ours. Howdy, listening on the water. Life is good. They're out there fishing now. Who's the guest tonight? Bob, I don't know if you've met this guy yet, but you guys got a couple things in common.
There's a
fish warden's in the house. Let's see. Rowdy Royal. There she is, Miss V. They're out on the water. They're always on the water. You guys,
a good place to be.
You guys got to check them out. They've been cranking out some videos, some content here lately. It's good stuff. They definitely put their time in on the water. They know what they're doing, and they've been very successful. So great watching these guys. 205 Wild Action in the house, 922 Crappie Barbecue. What's going on? There's 3 nights. It'll be Don Knight. We saw him also at the gathering this year. Great seeing him as well. One of our sponsors for the kids tournament also. So thankful for him. Let's see who else we got.
My boy James, Bayou Hunter. What's going on, brother?
There you go. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my fingers scrolling faster.
Let's see.
I might have caught up. I might have caught up for now.
We are caught up for the time being. We'll shout everybody out as they come in.
That's it. Well, Mike, welcome to the show, buddy. It's been a while since we've talked to you, and man, you've been on a roll. I know you and I have talked privately, but just noticing like over this last year, your social presence with TikTok and Facebook and YouTube, your footprint over your social influence has just grown phenomenally over the last year. And it didn't do it by a viral video. It didn't do it by fluke. It did it because you're consistently putting in hard work and consistently doing what it takes to get that out there. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm a social, influencer or whatever you want to call it. And I can't keep up with the work that you put in. So I can tell you that you're definitely putting the effort and the time into it, because that's not easy to keep up with it all the time like you have been, to be consistent like you have been. So I know you and I have talked about that on sidebar conversations, but like just for people that don't do content to understand what it's like to consistently crank out the material you've been cranking out with, man, it's some hardcore dedication to this stuff. I think, and it has a lot to do with your accolades over this last year. So some Golden Whisker Awards and, just numbers. I'm watching you post, milestone after milestone over this last year. So just congratulations. But not only that, you've been putting some big fish in a boat.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many, was it 50s, 40s and 50s? You have, Mike's the man. That's right, Skip.
We've been smacking them. And it's pretty wild too, man, because having my brother on the boat with me last year changed the way I was fishing. Because I tried to get him to bump. He just cannot bump. We try to be stationary and walk some baits, and he just can't get it. So I've had to do a lot more spot locking, a lot more anchoring, and he can do the drifting thing. But so I really think changing up the style, making me have to do something I'm uncomfortable with, kind of open my eyes to some different things.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we talk about from time to time here is just being having all those tools in your toolbox to be able to do whatever it takes. And like we talked before the show, you experienced that this last weekend, having to break down and drag baits on the river to get a bite. And it's not something you're used to or something you're real comfortable with, but you obviously saw firsthand that sometimes that is what it takes to get these fish in the boat. And the more you do these things that are not in your comfort zone, the more likely you are to use those tools when the time is right. What's up, Dave Funk? Lance McCoo guy. What's up, buddy? Thank you for stopping in. Jason Lamb. Catfish Radio. What's up, Aaron?
He touched a little bit on the social media, and when I started posting the takedowns on TikTok, and then they started blowing up, I was like, well, I'm going to try this Facebook thing. So I posted the very first one I ever posted. It hit 200K views. I was like, oh, I might have a little something.
Yeah.
So, I just kept playing with them, and, the different angles. And that's my brother. He is so bad about his mouth. And he always wants to stand directly in front of the camera. I'm like, David, sit your butt down. You're killing my views, man. You're killing.
Yeah, it's something to go out and catch fish and to be at the right place, right time, get the fish in the boat. It's an entirely different struggle to get all of it on film and to get it, to get the audio right, to get the angles right, to get the language correct. There's a lot. Hey, Telly, welcome, man. Hope you're feeling better. Telly's got some stuff going on, so I hope she's feeling better. And we saw them as well down at the gathering. Yeah. Hopefully, it looks
like Roger said, just being aware of where that camera is at all time. Like most of us use multiple cameras. It's a challenge. It really is. And you sit at home, you review footage, you're like, oh, I can't believe I was standing right in front of that camera.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. It is.
after Chad's fish-a-thon, I went back out that day and I ended up catching some better fish. But my buddy Derek was over there on the dragon. He was dragging some baits on the bank over there, and he was on a good fish. So I turned one of my cameras and I'm sitting over watching him. And that was a funny short that I made because I went over. I caught a fish same time he did, and I reeled it in and I picked it up and I go to show the camera and I look and the camera's facing him.
Turn the other way.
I named that little reel "Son of a."
Yeah, Telly attest to that. She says, "Yeah, you need to always know there may be a camera rolling."
Yep.
Yeah, there might be some nursery rhymes told.
Oh.
Yeah, buddy.
Yep.
Hickory dickory.
Yeah, buddy.
No, it I mean, because sometimes you get comfortable and you may forget, and things get exciting and you just forget, and you'll start slinging some words out there. It happens.
Yeah. There's usually a on camera and off camera verbiage that gets used around here. So, luckily for me, I've calmed my verbiage down quite a bit, being on camera so much, and then just having kids around and stuff. So,
same with me. Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of worn. I have hours of forage of myself peeing. Bob.
Yeah. He's not wrong though. He's not wrong. I got you on that one.
Like turning your camera off to tow a boat and ride around 45 minutes before you notice you're muted. Yeah, that could have an effect on things. Oh boy. Yeah, I just read that.
Yeah, I'm starting to pre-screen the comments now.
Yeah.
GoPro was on the photo. Oh, to me, there's no more disheartening thing when you got some killer video footage.
Yes.
You download the camera and it was muted and you have no sound. Oh, there's nothing worse than that.
One of my biggest fears, since I constant record, that when I have to take an SD card out and change the SD card out, I hold on to that thing for dear life. Because I just know one of these times I'm going to catch like a 100-pounder and I'm going to drop it in the river or something. I know I am.
Yep. I see Aaron saying that I see the bank folks rule again. So I believe they took a clean sweep on the big fish category at the gathering. All three big fish, I believe. I know at one point they were. I don't know if it ended that way or not, but all three big fish were caught from the bank this year.
Man.
Which means
why y'all let that happen, Roger? I mean,
I gave it all I got, man. I was scratching my head. There were some folks that did get on some good fish, get on some numbers of fish at least. We didn't. We got on a few fish here and there. I mean, every time we went out, we caught a few, but we never got on a good bite. Never got on anything that was I felt was consistent.
There's your answer. They were on the bank.
Yeah,
they were up against the bank. Apparently, that's where they were at.
I actually started dragging shallow. I started dragging in 4 foot of water.
Wow.
We actually got into 4 foot of water. The weeds were so bad in 4 foot. I had to wait until I got out to about 6 or 8 foot to get out of the weed bed. And we drug for long ways before we gave up. We fished every condition they had there. Danny Stone's in the house. What's up, buddy? So, Mikey, now that you've been doing a little bit of everything, I know that you love the suspend drifting, you love that takedown, but I got a feeling that that bumping is still going to be number one in your book. Yeah,
bumping's always going to be number one. Bumping bumping ain't never going nowhere.
I agree.
I mean, I went out for 2 hours after work yesterday. I had 2 hours to spare, and my game plan totally changed on me because I was going to go to a boat ramp that was about 25 minutes from my work. I drug the boat to work. But on the way there, I drove past what we call the Evansville Plaza, and I noticed it was clean and it was open. So instead of driving 25 miles, I can be on the water in 5 minutes. So I dropped in, got down there, and I suspend drifted for 45 minutes. Kept seeing the fish coming up. It just wasn't committing. Okay, well, we pulled back up, pulled the bumping rod out, and we started bumping. We got on them.
There you go.
Gonna have a good little video coming out at 8:05 tonight. So, I broke down bumping Greenwell fishing style. So,
okay.
Oh, cool.
That'd be a good one. We'll make sure we get out of here on time tonight so everybody can hop over and check that out.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that'll be 9:05 our time here.
Both of you guys know, I mean, patience in fishing is so much. And I attribute a lot of that to the Green River. You know, you guys know that I've been fishing the Green River, been pulling some good fish out of that Green River. Man, the structure in that river is nuts. I mean, to be able to pick the right one on that day, it's dang near impossible. But that's why if you see me, if I ever was live on the Green River, you see me picking up and moving a lot. 15, 20 minutes. If you don't get that bite, it's time to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Not to completely brag, but there's been 6 fish over 70 caught on that river in the past 2 years. 2 of those have been on my boat.
There you go.
My 80 and then my brother's 75.
That's a good question right there.
There's a good one for you, Mike. Can you see chat tonight, by the way?
I only see it when you guys pull it up there.
Okay. But basically,
I tried to bring my extra phone, but for some reason the Wi-Fi ain't working out here. So
that's all right.
But this is a question asking if you have any instructional videos on your channel about how you control your boat with your trolling motor while bumping.
There's some that's a couple years old. Like I said, I didn't get to really do anything last year with David on the boat, but there's some on there that's a couple years older, and the one that's coming out tonight touches on the trolling motor a little bit. So, but if you have any other questions on that, you feel free to message me anywhere.
There you go.
The one you've got on your channel that's a couple of years old, it's worth going back and finding it because that's basically how I learned it, how to control my boat, because we had the same trolling motor at one time. And that's where I learned it from. It's a great, great, great video. It's worth going back through Mike's channel and finding it. Trust me. It taught me a lot.
Yeah, boat control is everything when it comes to bumping. I mean, It literally is like 90% of your success is going to come from boat control.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion, but that's how I
say
feel
boat
about
control, and then I say do what you have to do to be able to feel the bottom.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you're not feeling the bottom, you're not doing anything. So,
right.
I mean,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And it took us a while. I know I've told this story before, but it took like Zach and I a while when we started fishing the Mississippi took us a while to figure out like, hey, you're just going to have to let the boat go faster. You've got to feel the bottom. And if you're only getting a bump, the bottom every so many feet, well, that's just what's it's going to take. You got to let that boat speed up until you're able to feel the bottom. And, whatever speed that is, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And so
2016, we was going down first time and the only time I've ever fished the Mississippi River. We went down and fished the inaugural Mississippi River Monsters. And, we was asking all kind of questions to people. And so one of the guys told me, yeah, I bumped the Mississippi with 4-ounce sinker. I'm like, dude, there's no freaking way. How are you doing that? And then, thinking about it now, it's like, yeah, you just got that boat moving 2 mile an hour.
Oh, yeah, you got to going back real fast.
Beep. I mean, yeah, I get it now. I could do it now. But back then, I was just like, man, there's no freaking way you could do that.
Yeah, when we first started, we was slowing the boat. Like we was trying to, the golden rule was like cut the speed in half. Well, like half a 6 mile an hour is still really fast. So we're using 10-ounce sinkers, and I'm telling you, it's like bump, and that thing must have went 20 feet before it hit again. Bump 20 feet. It's like, I don't think this is very effective. And we finally figured out, some things like, we don't use demon dragons or floats and that type of that speed of water. You just get an extra pull. And so we learned a few things of bumping at that speed, but yeah, the way it works is, or the boat control is, like I said, it has to do with everything.
And, I've never been a real big electronics guy when it comes to the depth finders, but I did upgrade this year. Last year I got my first HDS. It's a Gen 2, and I added a second screen. I got a 9 on the boat now. I put it on the back of the boat, but I don't know. I never really stared at the screen. Last year I really stared at that screen, And man, I can tell the difference in the quality of fish I caught. I mean, really marking them and sitting up on them and fishing them, or marking them and bumping through them. I mean,
yeah, that's one of our favorite games. You know, we call it find the fish, catch the fish. It's, you know, something that Chris Souders said to us at one time, and it just kind of stuck. And you know, when we try all the other tactics, a lot of times we'll just resort to say, hey, let's just go find the fish and catch the fish. You know, mark the fish, set up on them, and put baits in their face when all else fails. You know, obviously that's an anchor technique, but normally
it works for bumping too.
Yeah,
the last online tournament that they did, I was heck bit on going and bumping the Green River. I knew it was going to have some current, so I put in and ran all the way to the Green River, ran all the way up to, they got a low overhead dam. Water was over top of it, but I figured I could start there and bump out. It had so much trash in that river that day, but I was being hard-headed and just kept trying to bump it. Probably bumped 7 of the 10 miles I went up. Finally got out of there, took off. Went up to what we call, you know, a good pre-spawn area. Mm-hmm. And instead of just turning the camera back on, I just kept it muted, and I'm just riding. I probably rode a good half an hour up through there. Found a pile of fish on a little drop. Pulled up 100 yards, just kept bumping right over the top of them, and ended up catching a 28 in the tournament.
Nice.
There you go. Do you think you would have had different results had you anchored up on them?
Probably different results anchored up, but it was pretty close to the barge channel, and I knew I really couldn't anchor there. But if I'd have found them earlier, I think I could have pulled more of them out of there bumping.
Oh, I got you. I think we all have a different answer for this, but what do you feel about that? 922 Crappie Barbecue wants to know what your minimum flow is for bumping.
The easy answer, I'm going to say at least 2 mile an hour. But if I'm being hard-headed and I want to go bump, I can cut a 2-ounce sinker in half, and I can go out and make it work. But that takes experience. That takes years of experience to be able to do stuff like that.
I have bumped, and probably it was a little over 1 mile an hour. But like you said, it was a 1-ounce cannonball. I had a float on my rig, and I took a slicker head and hooked it through the nostrils where his mouth would hang open, acted like a little parachute. It kind of helped get my rig down. That's what the resorts I had to go to do it.
I mean, I would say 2 mile an hour. So at least you could slow it down to 1, and you give that 2-ounce sinker a good chance to actually bounce and go away from the boat a little bit. Because I mean, if I'm bumping and I can't get a 2-ounce at least 100 yards from the back of the boat, you might as well reel up and suspend your. I mean, that's
how many? Would you say how far back?
At least 100 yards.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a ways out there.
Yep.
I like it way back there.
I bumped with 1.5 ounces with Bobcat before, and we caught fish, but you know, you got to have a certain feel for it. 1.5 ounces is not a lot of weight.
Yeah. No.
And you know, I love telling the different style or the structures of the bottom. You'll be able to know when you got that concrete bottom, it's a really good return. But when you get into that sand is probably the hardest.
Yeah.
I mean, you can feel it going down, but when you get into mud is kind of fun because every time you lift that sinker up, it's almost like the suction cup.
Yep, I know.
I mean, that's what I just imagine a suction cup popping every time I lift it up.
Yeah.
Yep.
It just wants to surround it. It just wants to hold it in there.
Yep, you're right though. That soft, silty bottom. That's when you find out how sensitive your rod and your line is.
Oh yeah,
is for that.
And if you get a wind blowing upriver and you get a little bit of a curve in your line, you better be concentrating. You better know what you're doing.
Yep.
I mean, just yesterday we didn't have a lot of current. We had wind blowing upriver, and I'm sitting there bumping, and I'm like, man, I'm not feeling. And there's something going on. And if you're out there bumping and that happens, just start reeling up. Just start reeling up, and you're either going to be hung up. Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
go get you a Slunger Cat rig and pre-tied rig, tie it back on and get ready because.
Yep. just hit it again.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice having. Mike and I both are, affiliated with Slunger Cat, and so having those pre-tied rigs up and ready to go.
Oh yeah,
because 90% of the time you just break off your sinker. It's not a big deal, but every now and then you lose it all. And we were we were pretty excited. They were running 40-some thousand at Chickamauga the other day, and Jackie loves bumping. She's ate up with it about as much as I am, and I got a little too excited. I forgot about the like intermediate, beginner, and advanced areas of bumping Chickamauga, and I ran her straight to the hydro, straight to advanced, because I was so excited to be up there doing it. And she knows how to do it, and she's pretty good at it. But I didn't warm her up at all. And bumping in 10 foot of water at 40,000, and bumping in our river at like 20, 25 feet, it's a huge difference. Everything happens so fast in 10 foot of water. I mean, it's crazy.
Yep. So, and you see, like for us, a lot of the stuff that I'm bumping in, it's deep water. It's deep water. It's fast water. But what gets most people is the contours are very extreme. I'm bumping up and down 20 or 30 foot tall humps, just like this. And you really got to kind of have it together to follow those humps. It's something different. You don't hear a lot of people talk about doing, but it can be challenging.
It definitely can be challenging. You've got to know that feel, because I mean there could be a log hanging out on the upward of that, and you'll get hung up in that quicker than you can. I mean,
there's a certain treetop that I know to swing my boat kind of just to the left of every time. I know where that treetop is on that hump. Oh, I know. It's got a lot of my rigs hanging in it.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. If I mark the fish, I mean, if we got 3+ mile an hour current and I have to bump on them that day, I'm gonna walk it right into that tree. I'm either gonna get the fish or I'm gonna lose that rig. Hey, give me a rig ready.
We're ready. Here it comes.
You got to be willing to lose some gear. I got to be honest. We went down to the gorge, and we were looking for there was an island up there. We went up and checked out. We were scanning and scanning. Man, it was like barren nothing. And all of a sudden, we found this huge hump. I mean, huge. It went from like 32 feet to like 12, and then back down to 32 feet. And we're like, it's just a big hump to come off the bank. And there was a bunch of brush on it, and I marked a few fish on it. And Jackie said, let's fish that. And I said, there's only one way we can fish it. We have to sit on top of it and pretty much drop the bait straight down and just behind us because we can't cast. I said, but there is nothing but trees and brush in here, so we'll be lucky to get it back. And she's like, I want to do it anyway. And I was like, all right. So we threw 4 rods out, and before we got the 5th rod, 2 rods were down, and we were doubled up bringing fish to the boat.
There you go.
And to rub it in my face, we didn't lose any rigs or any gear.
Really? Wow.
She was like, so I said, you know what? I get my shirts at Hillbilly Towels and Sublimation. Hillbilly Industries, actually, I think they changed their name, but Hillbilly Industries. If you're interested, I could shoot you a message or something. And these are new jerseys that came out.
Ooh, check that out.
Yeah, buddy.
I like it. Jackie's
got one too. Hers is exactly the same, but it's pink and black. It's pretty sharp. If you're not losing rigs, you're not fishing. Yeah. You can't be scared to throw them in there and hope for the best.
And both of you guys know just as well as I know, time on the water. If you're a tournament guy, if you're just a fun fishing guy, that time on the water, man, it's going to teach you a lot more than YouTube and that time on the water can teach you a lot of things.
Yeah. Yep. Anytime you've watched a video, or even when I've asked anglers and successful tournament anglers, what it is that makes them so successful, it's the same answer: time on the water. You look at some of these big tournament guys like Mike Mitchell. Mike Mitchell's killing it right now. He's on a roll.
He came down the Ohio River, Derby, Indiana, and put a whooping on all of us Ohio River guys. I mean, come on. He came down here and smacked a couple big old flatheads and got second place.
Yes. The same thing happened to the brothers, Donnie and Lonnie Fountain. They came to Gallipolis, Ohio. They ain't ever seen this water before in their life. I can't remember if they won it or they was in the top 3. They may have won it. I'm like, man, what the? This is my backyard. That's embarrassing.
To be fair, Donnie and Lonnie put a whipping on everybody everywhere they go.
I was going to say, them boys came through the weigh-in Saturday, and the announcer of the King Cat series, they probably didn't want him to say what he said, but he's, these are them Fountain boys. These boys won about $150,000 this past year, and I was like, man, don't be putting their business out there like that.
Yeah.
Well, we talked. I had a conversation about that with somebody not too long ago, and they said the same thing. I said, yeah, they won about 150 grand last year. I'm like, yeah, I don't think anybody, but there's like, they won this tournament.
Right, it's out there.
And this tournament, that's and it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess realistically.
If you do the math, it's there. I mean, at one point, let's see, because they came and won Vicksburg, okay, right there above my house. They went to New Orleans, won that tournament below my house, and then they're like, all right, we done won everything in Louisiana. See y'all later. It's like, man.
They could, and winning that much money, they have got the luxury to be able to do a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
A lot of time on their hands. They can go a week early, and they can sit out there and pre-fish. They can take one whole day and catch enough bait for the Friday pre-fish and the Saturday fishing. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, that means a lot. I mean, I didn't have time to go pre-fish this weekend, and it showed. I mean, when you're not prepared, it shows in your weight. I mean, it does.
Yeah, Uncle Lou mentioned Ray Ferguson and his son Niall have been putting a hurting all over the country this year.
Oh yeah,
they came up here and they caught some good fish this past weekend and got a good second or third place, and I think Niall got youth angler. I was going to get a picture of him and post it to the gathering site, be like, "Ha ha, I got him this weekend," but I couldn't get close enough to him Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, I should have invited him Niall to the kids tournament. I don't know how everybody else would feel about that, but he's definitely a kid that enjoys the sport. If you ever watch the weigh-ins and watch Niall get pumped up, he likes to pump up the crowd, and he likes to, like, his enthusiasm is contagious. It is really cool to watch them guys weigh in.
I don't know about that. Do you guys write anything down? Do you guys write notes?
I should.
I should, but I don't. I so far I've got a pretty decent memory about like the fish we catch, where we caught them, and what was going on. And then I've got some of my video footage for that kind of reference back. And I really should have a journal, to be honest with you. I just haven't started doing it yet.
I write every freaking trip down. I'd go into more detail on other ones. I've been doing it since 2020, and I can tell the difference. I can really tell a big difference. I mean, an example of one of my notes, I'll say it was from 324 this year. I went to Angel Mounds Boat Ramp. It was cloudy and windy, 35 degrees. It was the morning air temperature. The water degrees was right at 50 degrees. For the water temperature. I caught 6 fish. 2 of them came bumping, and the other 4 came spot locked on a current seam where I marked fish. I mean, I write down so much. If I had some buddies over there on the bank, they caught 10 skipjack from the bank. I only caught 2 out on the boat before I went fishing. I wrote down they caught the skipjack. I mean, I write it all down.
Now, I will say this. I do write notes, not necessarily about the fish I caught and conditions and all, but I have a pretty detailed log of all the river stages, certain things that happen at certain stages and things like that. I have all that information written down. That has helped me a lot to predict how these fish move on the river, is just knowing that, oh, wait, it's this stage. So that means this little buy is backing up, or the water's passing over here. And it's, that right there has helped me.
There's one thing I don't worry about the pressure. I don't want to look at the pressure because I'm going fishing anyway. I don't want any negative energy, because if I'm looking at stuff that's telling me I shouldn't go, that I'm not going to catch fish, but then you're already going out thinking you're not going to catch fish, so you might as well stay on the couch.
Right.
Right.
I do look at the river gauges, so that way I can rig up to drag, drift, bump, suspend, anchor.
Mike, tell me this: are you one? I'm one. I'm telling you right now. I look at the river gauge every single day.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter if I plan on fishing or not. I look at the river every day.
They update it at 10 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the evening here. I'm on it. 10:10, 6:10. What's going on? Let's go.
I have to do it for work anyway, so I gotta look at it whether I want to or not.
Yeah,
I have to look at it.
Yeah, I've been watching the weather, watching the flow, watching the levels. You know, we got a tournament coming up this weekend, and we got a Operations Vets with Net mission to go on this weekend as well. So, you know, trying to set ourselves up for optimal results. You know, just kind of paying attention to what's going on. But yeah, it's just one of the tools that we use.
I'll tell you one thing I liked about the King Cat. Their rules this year is you're allowed to have unlimited rods on the boat. And in years past, you know, all the big tournaments, you was only allowed 8 rods. So if you didn't prepare yourself, you could be more prepared. Have 5 rods set up for dragging, suspending, anchoring, whatever. Have your 2 pumping rods set up. Yeah, back in the day, man, we used to just have to pre-tie everything and then get out there and see what's really going on. And especially when I didn't know about the river, when I didn't know anything about the river graphs.
Right.
So when I found out that river graph, that was a game changer.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When you got the graph that you can look at, and especially once you know, and this is where the time of the water thing comes in. Once you understand a section of river enough to where you can look at the flow and know about how fast your current's going to be, judging the flow, that to me, that's when things started changing, especially for me, because I can sit at home on the road, whatever, and I automatically know, okay, well, there ain't no way we're anchoring right there, or there's no way we're doing this. There's no, like I've told people this for years. I never pick where I want to go fishing. I never do that. I pick where I don't want to go. And then I'd process of elimination. I'm like, well, I can't go here, can't go there. No use going there. No use going there. Well, there's not but a few spots left by the time you do all that. That's how I decide where I'm going.
And I tell you, that's where these notes are going to come in handy when you start writing stuff down too, because there for the longest time, I got my first boat, and I've only been fishing for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I started bank fishing the Ohio River in 2014, and I mean, I got a boat. Probably toward the end of 2015, I got my boat, and I was scared to go farther than 20 minutes to the closest boat ramp.
Right.
I was paranoid about it. That first hour trip I went to the Green River, and I got a little more confident in that. And now I look at them notes. If I'm going somewhere new, I look at 2023 notes and where I was catching fish, if it was on a ledge or if it was on humps or whatever. And when I'm going to that new area, I look at Navionics and try to copy that.
Yeah.
It might not work out when I get there. Then you got to put, your fishing experience to work, but it gives you a starting point.
Yep, definitely.
I seen my buddy Rusty Moorfield pop in here. He so Zach won the Sea Arc boat from the Catfish tournament. Sea Arc also sponsors a crappie tournament, and they give away a boat there. Rusty won the Sea Arc at the crappie tournament this year.
Nice.
That's awesome.
A year ago, Rusty didn't own a Sea Arc. He bought him a Dynasty, and a year later, he owns 2 Sea Arcs.
Oh, wow. That's not a terrible problem to have.
Congratulations, brother. I know you and your dad, and I'm sure Dad's going to deck that thing out for crappie. It's I think it was a Flex 19, Sea Arc Flex 19.
That's a nice boat, too. I seen one in the showroom at the dealership close to the house, and man, those Flexes are nice.
Yeah. So congratulations, guys. Hang on a second. There you go. 2 Marines, 1 Sea Arc boats this year. There you go.
That's the way it should be. Brian B, what's happening, brother? I see you sneaking in there. So I do have an interesting question for you, Mike. Besides current speed, because that kind of gets obvious when you're choosing what technique you want to try to get on fish. But when you're going along, you're using your sonar, you're marking fish, naturally they're going to be staged up differently depending on what's going on. Just by looking at your sonar and how you see fish staged, whether they're scattered, stacked up, anything like that, how do you decide based on that how you're going to put baits in front of them? Like, how do you look at the sonar, look at the fish, look at the situation and say, okay, well, I need to bump these fish, or I need to drift on these, or I need to, or however you choose?
Well, number one, I'm always going to try to bump baits because I just think it's the more natural presentation. I mean, it doesn't get much better than a bait rolling down the river. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's going to be number one. I'm always going to try that. Number two is probably going to be suspend drift. And if them fish are holding, real tight to that, I'll suspend drift right next to that. I won't suspend drift into it. See if I can pull them out. And if I can't do that, then we're going to set up, 60, 70 yards, and we're going to throw to them.
I got you. He starts with his favorite and works his way back.
Yeah.
Preferred method.
Exactly.
And as of this weekend, if that don't work, we might drag them.
Yeah, and sometimes like that happened to us, not this past weekend, but weekend before. I'm going along, in fact, in my bumping spot, lo and behold, but I'm going through slow and I'm marking fish, and I keep looking. I'm like, because normally when this bumping, it's going to surprise you. Bumping is not necessarily my favorite way to fish. I love it. I do. I rather anchor on fish than bump. It's going to surprise me saying that, because I love the takedowns is what it is. I'm a sucker for takedowns.
Yeah.
Well, normally if I'm going through my area and I see one or two fish behind one hump, then next hump 1 or 2, then next hump 1 or 2, they're just 1 or 2 fish behind every hump. Well, to me, that tells me like, okay, I need to bump through these fish. They're scattered, they're stacked behind every hump. That is tailor-made. I need to bump through these fish. Well, when we were there last Saturday, no fish, no fish, no fish, no fish, whole bunch of fish. Just all of a sudden, bam, just a big mass of fish behind this big drop-off off a little point where the current comes around. I'm like, pretty obvious what we fixing to do. Big old pile of fish right there is like, well, there's only one thing to do. Spot lock in the current seam and bomb some baits in their face.
Well, that's what I mean. It's. I remember last year's monster hunt. It was August. The water temperature is as warm as it's going to get.
Right.
But we was drifting all day long. We couldn't find no fish. We made a good little run back up river, and I did the same thing. I went up to my normal spot, and I was going to just drop and suspend it. But on the way up there, I found a pile of freaking fish on the backside of a ledge at the end of the dam. Now, okay, I'm just going to hit that spot lock button and cast right into them, and wham, wham, wham.
Yep. Just and I know you've felt this before. I know Roger has. Especially when you're maybe on the verge of water temperatures when bumping, or maybe you're dealing with possible inactive fish, but you're bumping through. You feel that bite, but they don't just rail it. It's and you got to kind of start thumbing them a little line to kind of talk them into it. Might hook them up, might not. For me, situations like that, it kind of tells me that, okay, these fish aren't very active. I may have to turn around and either anchor on them or do something else. They're just not active enough to really get that bumping bite going on. I know I've had it many times. We
talk a lot about the reaction bite, but if it's going by too fast, you're just not going to get through. I mean, there's such thing as too fast when the water's too cold, I believe.
What's up, Richard? Good to see you, bro.
I was going to say, that's probably Richard there. Richard. Yeah, and that always boggles me too, because you would think, well, maybe not so much going by fast, but fish start to slow down when the water's cold. And it's like, wouldn't taking the bait right to their face be the most optimal thing to do? Like, they do not want to chase anything. This is like, they just got to open their mouth up and, swallow it. But,
and, I heard that was one of the guys, I don't want to say who it is. I don't want to give his, I don't want him to know I'm giving out his secrets, but he always said that he bumped in cold water because, no matter what, fish is still, the bait is still moving downriver, and he had success with it. So, I went out and we had 40-some degree. I'm out there bumping my head off, man, and I could not get them fish. I was like, well, my buddy, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to throw this anchor and, throw the anchor and you start getting fish. And it's like, man, what are you doing different?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing with me too. We've tried in cold water. I know Bobcat, he's tried in cold water. I think Bob caught a couple, but I don't think he had a whole lot of success with it. And most people I've talked to have not had success with it, but it just seems.
I've done it. I have caught a couple of nice fish doing it, not consistently. The only time I've ever caught nice fish bumping in cold water, I had to slow myself way down more than what I'm used to, use more lead because of it, like really just slow everything down. And even my movements are shorter. Instead of making 2-foot hops off the bottom, I'm almost rolling that weight down the bottom. Just like everything just slows down a lot.
But Jeremy, what's your cold water? 47?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking low 40s.
Yeah, I'm just getting you.
but I'll be honest, one of the coldest water temperatures I have ever seen fishing, I think, was 38 degrees. That's the coldest water temperature I've ever seen, is 38, 39 degrees. So don't know. My water is going to stay relatively warmer. But you see, I know your line for bumping is right about 50 degrees, right?
Yep.
Mine's about 60. Like my fish are not active enough at 55 degrees to even think about bumping. I've learned that everything is offset 10 degrees for me down here. It's time of year, I suppose. I don't know.
Definitely. And no, Brandon, if you're walking all your line off, your boat's not moving fast enough.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Technically, in a perfect
as soon as you
world. Go ahead, Roger.
Uh-oh.
I was going to say, as soon as you start reeling in, Brandon, your bait will lift completely off the bottom. You're not effectively fishing anything near the bottom at that point. So
now there will be times where I'll put a heavier sinker on, and somebody experienced, I'll let them have a lighter sinker, or we'll flip it whichever way, and he'll run all his line out just to see, if they want it a little bit faster, or if they want mine a little bit slower. We'll play with weights that way. But I mean, once you run out of line, you reel up, start all over.
Yeah, Brandon.
In a perfect situation, you're moving with your rig. If you've got it just absolute perfect, you shouldn't be taking in or giving up line. Realistic.
I personally like it. Every third lift, I want to let out a little bit of line. Every third lift, a little bit of line. Every third lift, a little bit of line.
Now, honestly,
there is a method of bumping where the boat is sitting still. You can bump from an anchored position, and you just walk the bait back. You can do that. There's it depends on your situation and what you want to do.
And
that's what we call that walking the bait.
Yeah, right. Honestly, that's the best way to start somebody out to learn is walking a bait back. That just kind of helps them get the feel and get the rhythm down, and then you start moving and. You can play with the areas that work. But
if you're trying to teach someone how to bump, try to show them for the first time, don't do what I did with Chris and Telly. Don't put them in the middle of a flooded river with debris and logs everywhere at 4 miles an hour. But you know what? It worked. They got the hang of it. I said, if y'all can bump right here in these conditions, y'all can bump anywhere. Y'all good to go.
Yeah. That's what. A lot of people told me because the Green River is so full of structure that you can't bump that river. You just can't do it. I was like, no, okay. Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
I took off. That river, the normal pool is like 11 foot. And so it was up to like 22. And that current was moving probably about 4 miles an hour. And I went out there and I popped a 40.
There you go.
What can't you do?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was plenty of time. Zach and I, we would look at structure on the Ohio River and like, God, that's nasty. And now we look at it with our dragon rigs. We grab our Dirty South dragon weights, man, and we just roll right through it. And we just scratch our heads like, how's that even possible? Like, how does that even? That doesn't even make sense. And, not saying they don't ever get hung up, but like even when we get hung up, especially when we're going against the current, if you just pop a bunch of slack in the line, makes the weight like stand up, and then you jerk on it, and it just 9 times out of 10 it comes out. So technically, what you guys doing is,
Well, some people call it that.
Yeah, even bumping, they'll call it that. But yeah, from a fixed position, I would call it walking baits or bouncing the bottom.
Right.
But it's a good way to start people out.
It's a fun way to catch them. Also, I mean, you're doing the same thing. You're going to get the same bite. And I mean, when I'm teaching somebody, I pay more attention to their rod tip, because you can look at somebody's rod tip and if when they're touching, if it doesn't give just a little bit of slack in their line, they're not doing it right.
Right.
Because before you lift up, you're going to get a little bit of slack in your line. So I'm always bumping, and I'm always just kind of just looking over every now and then. And I had a buddy one day. I'm like, hey, you're not on bottom, are you? Well, yeah, I think so. I said, no, go ahead and reel back in and start over. And he got hung up. Started going behind the boat. He's like, oh no. I'm like, how the heck did you know that?
Yeah. The slack, you reel in and the slack starts going to the front of the boat. Like, yeah, you're hung up. Your rig is 100 yards behind us.
And watching the first initial bite somebody gets, they want to let off. A lot of people want to let off, and then they poof. Always cracks me up.
Yeah.
Rusty running on the Mississippi. Hit 6 mile an hour with the current and still picking up. It's holy crap. I'm not sure just how fast is too fast for us. Like I said, the fastest water we fished was the Mississippi. Yeah. A drop shot rig. It's kind of that in a nutshell with the bumping rig.
I've actually tried it. I tied a rig. It was last year. I tied a rig that was basically a drop shot rig. I just did the hook a little bit different. I missed a few hookups because of it, so I went back to the rig I was using. Not having that tail that the hook is on for the leader. I think it cost me one or two fish.
Yeah,
I'm big on having the ball chain swivel in the middle. A lot of people bump without it, but I just want that peace of mind knowing that my bait's not sitting down there just.
Yep.
I mean some guys will get out there and they'll do fine with it, but I guess I just want that peace of mind that bait's that are doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And if you're ever curious, what is your bait doing? The quickest way to find out is stick it in the water right next to the boat. Experiment with the way you hook your bait. If you're fishing a river, you're fishing a lot of current, stick that bait right over the side of the boat, drop it down a few inches, and you can tell if your bait's down there helicoptering, just get it back in the boat and then hook it differently until you find a way that bait is kind of flowing through the water, more natural presentation. Because I'm telling you right now, this is not a natural presentation for a fish. And you'll know it. And you bring your line back in, it's all twisted up and in a little knot, and you're like, what in the world happened? Now sometimes that'll happen as you're bringing it in, reeling it in, because you're reeling fast and the water's fast. But if you really want to know for sure, just stick it down in the water next to the boat and look at it, and it'll tell you what it's going to do down there.
And you know as well as I do, once you do this, once you bump long enough, if something happens and while you're bumping, you'll notice something feels different.
Yep.
There's something different. If you get a bite and they take the bait off, he's got the bait. I did that to one of my buddies one day. He got the bait and I reeled it in. There wasn't no bait. How the heck did you know that? I said, it's all about feel.
You just know after a while. Yeah.
Everything got lighter. And you don't have that drag on that bait. I mean, that's
it's people don't realize it, but once you get the hang of it and you could feel everything. Like if your sinker gets wrapped up in your main line and it's not actually dropping, you lose all your feel and sensitivity. You could tell. But it takes a while before you start actually getting all that down. But
I love it when you mark a tree, there's a tree down there from experience, been there before, or you felt it. But when you come up over that and you set it back down, bam! I mean, that's just awesome. That fish down there just waiting on
below our dam. There's a big hump, And nothing's better than that feeling of knowing you're walking your bait up that hump. And when you start letting line out going down the other side, you're like, here he comes, here he comes.
Ready. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
And when you're a little new to bumping, I know everybody kind of does things a little bit different. I tend to fish with an open spool. I just keep my thumb on the spool. It's just open pretty much at all times.
Yep.
When you're new, it takes a little discipline, especially the first time you catch a big one that just absolutely rails the rod, tries to take it from you. Your first instinct is, oh, and then your thumb comes off the spool and things backlash and things kind of, it takes a little discipline to feel that hit. He's ripping line out of your thumb, and you just got to up here, thumb down and put the brakes on him before slapping that reel to try to engage it. It takes a bit to get used to that.
Yeah, that's I switch hands a lot just because you're bumping along so long. It's like, goodness gracious, we got to give it a little break. But when I'm open spool, almost always, but I get that bite, my left hand will come over, click it.
Yep.
So I don't have to switch hands, just click it, and then we'll see what's going on. Then we'll switch hands and fight him. But
James says there's nothing like anchoring up, sitting for hours, is knowing that any time here it comes.
Sitting for hours.
What's up, Willie Cahoon?
Ain't no way.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm bad about wintertime anchoring. I mean, 45 minutes is the max. If I'm not getting my thing is, even in wintertime, if I'm not getting a bite in 15 minutes, that bait's been there long enough. If that fish is active and hungry, he's gonna take it the first 15.
Yeah.
I'm out. Because I gotta go find some fish.
Right. Because for one, you're marking fish and you're throwing at fish. So you're throwing your baits at them. That's first off. So if, like you said, if 45 minutes ain't nothing happening, they're not active. I luckily years ago, I kind of cast aside the thing of, well, this is a good spot. I've caught fish here before. Let's just throw some baits out and wait and see what happens. I am not patient enough for that anymore. I can no.
That's the day that I caught that 80-pounder from the Green River. There was zero current. I mean, the river was so low that I didn't think I was going to get my boat out of the river when we left because my trailer kept getting hung up. I mean, I had to have my brother drive, and I'm pretty much lifting my boat to get up over the hump. We finally got it out, but that was a pain in the. We had 3 drift socks out. I was by myself. The day that he caught his 75, we couldn't get out. But neither day there was current. But we had 3 drift socks out just to keep the boat. And I'm like, man, we're going to sit here another 20 minutes because I don't want to do all this work again.
Right. Right.
About that time, his rod just slams, and it was the same rod, same spot where the 80 and the 75 come. I just thought that was just crazy.
Almost the same rig, wasn't it?
Exactly the same rig.
I know a little something about that. That was luck, though. That was just luck.
And the one I caught in March, I think I sent you that picture also.
Yeah, you did,
Roger. That one, I marked him. He was probably 15 foot from a tree. So I set up, I remember 66 feet. I dropped the trolling motor. I was 66 feet from him. Casted that line out. And by the time I got done over here, he slammed it within 7 minutes.
Wow. Nice.
Something I think is a little funny that I do. You see my clock back here. I don't know if you guys my buddy Ryan made that for me, but it's set on 1010. I haven't put a battery in to run it. You know what 1010 was? The time I caught that 80-pounder.
Really?
When I got that, I set it to 1010 and I ain't changed it.
There you go. I like it. Look, you get every bit of good karma you can get. I don't turn nothing down.
Hey, Joshua wants to know, Mike, besides a bumping rig, which is obvious, what's your other favorite rig?
Oh, I'm a simple guy, man. Everything except dragging and bumping is Carolina rigged with the sinker slide.
Carolina rig with sinker slide.
I mean, I shouldn't say, because I have went to the Kentucky double hook rig here this past probably year and a half. I like them a lot for drifting, so the Carolina rig, and I guess I can say that Kentucky rig is sliding in there pretty quick.
Yeah, suspend drifting, those like Slender Cat Kentucky rigs, man, those things, they do the trick for us. The only problem I've ever had with a Kentucky rig, actually it's never been one of Chris's, it's ones I've tied, which they're about the same, is if you hook a big fish on a Kentucky rig, you have a chance of losing him because that second hook gets hung up and he's either broke because there's not much line between the first and second hook, broke that, or that second hook got in the tail and put tension on that and took the tension off of the front hook and allowed him to get away. That's happened a couple times, but I'd say like 95% of the time I've caught more fish with the Kentucky rig because, more bait in the water, more scent. And I've actually several times now caught 2 fish on a Kentucky rig at the same time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that makes for a fun. As a matter of fact, he's not in here right now, but actually he is. He just showed up. Fat boy Eric is in the house. Last year for his birthday, he wanted to go out and go fishing, and we were suspend drifting, and we were using Kentucky rigs, and I was using a float back behind the boat, and he caught 2 blue cats on a Kentucky rig at the same time on a float rig. Slender Cat Kentucky rig, where do you get
Somebody
those?
had to ask, right?
Well, buddy, you go to slendercat.com and you can use code Muskrat, or you can use code MG10.
MG10. Mike Greenwell. So Mike and I are both affiliated with Slender Cat. We've got a small group of guys that are really good anglers, and we have a good time, talking to each other and helping Chris with his lines of clothing and gear. What boat snack of choice? Mike, I don't see you eat a whole lot when you're fishing.
I don't eat a whole lot. When I remember when I'm at the gas station, I go get my ice. If I remember while I'm in there, I get a nutty bar. Get that nutty bar bite.
And you guys know the answer to that for me. It's damn near everything. I eat it all.
There's my brother in chat. There is the Creole catfishing editing department right there. And now our snack of choice is Funyuns, and we've got a video coming next week that'll show why. It is crazy. I'm so excited to put that video out. It's killing me.
My buddy Steven, man, I miss my buddy Steven. Me and Steven, man, we did great in tournaments together, and we had a good time. But he would always bring cold pizza. We'd be bumping down the river, and I'd look over, and he's fumbling through these bags, and he would pull out a cold piece of pizza, and he'd be bumping and eating that cold piece of pizza. It's 40 degrees outside. He's eating cold pizza. I loved it.
Oh, when you get good, you can multitask bumping it.
Oh, yeah.
When you get really good, like me and Zach's out fishing sometimes, bump them with 2 rods at the same time because he's got to get the grill fired up or something's going on, and try to bump 2 rods. That's bumping with 1 rod, taking a picture with the other hand. Yeah, we've done it all.
I've actually just now gotten to where I'm comfortable bumping sitting down. I've just this year I've started doing a little bumping sitting down. It's always been a thing of I'm standing up right at the back of the boat,
I always had a habit in my other boat. I always put the cooler where if I was by myself, I put the cooler where the passenger seat was, and I take that passenger seat out. And sometimes I just sit on that cooler and I just be sitting there bumping. And I got one video that a guy actually commented on. I think it was only like a 20-pounder or whatever it was. But the guy said, it looked like he was going to pull you off of that cooler. I had the camera from the side view. It was it was awesome.
Yep.
I used to run a stinger hook. We was in an ICA tournament, and them boys had a small fish pot. And I was like, you know what? I want to try to get this small fish pot. So I snelled my regular hook, but on the bottom of that, I put a little 3-aught. And I ended up, we got small fish, but it ended up biting me in the butt too. When we caught the small fish, I think it came back around and it nicked the line, and I got a big bite, and it just straight snapped that rig. So I don't do that no more.
It happened. Look, I had something happen to me last week, and I've never had it happen before. Had a nice fish bite, about a 25-pound blue, got on the boat, wrapped up in one of my other rigs, like always. Well, he wrapped my main line around the swivel of another line. And I guess he put tension on it just right. And he pulled one time and popped that line on that swivel. Oh, but hey, it happens.
It happens.
Yep,
There's nothing worse. Nothing worse than fighting what you think is a good fish and then pop. Like, man, what happened? Man, you just.
I got to see the fish at least. It was about a 25-pound blue. So it was, it was okay.
We were fishing. Jackie and I and her dad and nephew were fishing. Let's see, Saturday night, I think. And we had a fish take down. And I'm talking screaming drag, and I run my drag tight. And you pull my drag, it's a decent fish. Ripping drag. She's fighting this fish, and she's finally getting it close enough to the boat. Well, I go ahead and I got to get this net out. I turn my back and I get the net out, and I just hear her go, "No!"
Oh,
yeah. Here, this fish had. She said it just bolted underneath the boat and just went across underneath the boat. And I don't know if the line rubbed the boat or what, but it snapped that main line like nothing. And she lost that fish. But it was, I could tell you, I know what that rod looks like bent, and I know what that drag sounds like screaming. It was a good fish. All right, so here you go, Mike. This is a Kentucky rig. So you start out top of the line. We got just a regular swivel. I got it crimped on there. You come down, you got a dropper. And you got a hook there. You come on down. This is called a T knot. I don't know if I could show you the knot well enough, but there's a lot of videos out there on how to tie this. Mm-hmm. Or you can go to Slender Cat Outdoors. Use code MK or MK MG10 or Muskrat 10 and get these rigs here pre-tied from Chris Souter's Slender Cat. And so you drop down, you have your second hook, and then on the end, these ones here I tied myself.
There we go. That's the one I want.
I got my other ones in the bag there from Chris, but I just tie a loop at the bottom, and I can swap my weights in and out. So, but it's just a double hook rig. You got a hook up towards the top. You got another hook down below. I love these for suspending. I'll put a 8-10 ounce weight depending on what I'm doing. I run my weights heavy under the boat because if my boat does spin or I need to make a sudden move, I want my base to stay straight underneath. If you run a lighter weight and you go to make a boat move, those lines will lift and get into each other and kind of cause you some problems. So me, I run a little on the heavy side, but there you go.
It's adorable how you call 8-10 ounces heavy. I just think that's adorable.
Well, you would be very proud of me a couple weeks ago there, Jeremy. I was bumping. I marked a lot of fish, and I could not get the fish to bite bumping. And I knew there was a ton of current. But I looked down to see how many sinkers I had. I'm like, yeah, I got enough sinkers. So I put 2 9-ounces on and dropped them straight down. I was suspending 18 ounces.
How we talking?
And I tell you what, I caught a 25, a 18, a 17, and a 16. And I mean, those aren't big fish by no means, but those takedowns and that heavy current, man, you thought every one of them was 100-pounders. They was just.
Oh yeah. The biggest weight I've suspended and caught a fish was 34 ounces. That's my record. It was like a 10-pound blue. It was like a 10-pound blue, and I'm like, new state record. No, 10 pounds.
Yeah. I am not in the Midnight Madness. I gotta be honest with you. I screwed up because I was at the gathering. I forgot all about signing up, so I did not get signed up in time. So we unfortunately are not able to fish the Midnight Madness this weekend. So, but it turned out okay. I got a live tournament that next morning, so we would have had to fish like midnight to 3 p.m. the next day straight. And the waters that we have to fish for the daytime tournament are not waters we would pick for an online tournament. So it was not stacked well for us anyway.
It happens.
So, I got a decision to make on the bumping for biggins. The ICA boys are having a flathead bash out on Patoka Lake. It's about an hour and a half drive up 64 for me. Man, that would be so fun to do, but how can I not fish the bumping for biggins, man? I gotta try that.
Well, your last year's winners are not able to participate this year because it falls on Disabled Veterans Outdoors event that we do every year. It's the first weekend of June every year, no matter what. And so it happens. The bumping for biggins is going to fall on that, and I won't miss taking those veterans out. So
right,
Zach and I will be doing that that weekend, unfortunately. But we really wanted to have another shot at, because every dog has his day, and when two Ohio boys take first and second in a bumping for biggins against the rest of you guys, it was a pretty big pat on the back. It was like, holy crap.
Yes.
Man, everybody had a bad day except for us.
The smallest fish I ever caught in a live tournament was when y'all won. Yep, that ain't no kidding. I caught a 1.5 pound fish bumping.
That's up at Sandusky Bay. We're taking those veterans out. The only person who's not happy about that day was Skip, and it's still a phenomenon today how we all use different ounce weights. So generally, I bump with a 2 and Zach bumps with a 3. On that day, I think we mixed it up. Like I had a 2, Skip had a 3, and Zach had a 4. We were all staggered, and I always like to stay out farthest. I'm like Mike. I like to bump far away from the boat. And I don't know how in the world, but I caught fish and Zach caught fish all day long. And poor Skip in the middle, never caught a fish. He was doing nothing wrong. He was using the same bait. He was bumping just like us. He was using the same rigs, everything. And I don't know how in the world it ended up that way, but man, that was a tough day to be Skip. I guarantee it.
It just be like that sometimes. There was days that me and Steven would be fishing, and I would catch 10 fish. He didn't catch one. You know, sometimes he would just put his rod down and just sit there, just watching. You go ahead and catch them all, god dang it.
Yeah. It happens.
I'll just sit here and hold the net, okay?
Stan 3 is in the house, says, don't feel bad, Creole. I caught a channel cat bumping.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, Skip says it was rough. Yeah, it was a tough day. It was mind-boggling. We could not figure out what was going on. I think at one point we were even cutting his bait and putting it on his hook for him. I was like, do you have something on your fingers?
And that's what I would have said, like, something.
And it was nothing. And his technique was exactly the same. He was doing absolutely nothing different than the rest of us. It's just
that's frustrating.
Yeah, it was just stacked against him that day, I guess. Man, we could keep this up for a while.
All right.
I just realized the time you had your premiere video going off, didn't you?
Not a premiere. I just had it scheduled.
Oh, scheduled drop. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't no premiere. It was just scheduled. Yeah.
Skip says maybe I need a rematch.
A little bumping video. I kind of broke it down in my terms.
I got you.
Definitely need to check that out.
Yeah, if you guys are interested in bumping, or even just kind of curious about what it takes to do this technique and what it means when we talk about boat control and sliding the boat back and all that, check this video. I'm going to check this video out. Because I don't care how much fishing you do. The more stuff you watch and learn.
I was not going to lie. I was a little paranoid because when I put it all together, I'm like, man, this is like 6 minutes of talking and 3 minutes of catching a fish. I don't know if this, but I'm hoping that the information will, keep people in there and keep people watching it. So it's the first time I've ever tried something, talking for so long. So we'll see how it works out.
Heck yeah.
That's all you can do. The algorithm will tell you whether it was worth it or not.
Yeah, that's it.
What's up, Daryl? Trophy Seekers Outdoors. He says he's still alive, man. He was working like a circus midget this weekend trying to keep everything up and going. But I tell you, it was really good event. It was very I'm sure for him it wasn't, but from what I could tell for everybody else, it was very stress-free. They did have this change the shelter houses because of some downed trees and some water lines busted up there. We couldn't use the pavilion we were supposed to use, so we had to make some changes. But man, it was it's one of the things I love most about the gathering. It's so relaxed and low key. It's not a high pressured event. There's no like whatever, the big fish thing really did like add a lot of fun to it, because you were like, every time that rod went down, it's like, oh, that could be $1,000 fish.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It just added a level of excitement on top of everything already. So we're waiting for him to drop the dates for next year so we can go ahead and book our site. And so we'll be looking forward to that. Buckeye, he's crapping late again. I had to get outside work done before the rains. It's supposed to rain. Hey, guys, before we take off real quick, let me get this here closed out. I just wanted to say real quick that we got the kids tournament coming up June 8th. Mm-hmm. And we are still looking for some kids. We still got some openings for the kids event. And we're still looking for some donations. So if anyone's able to put together some prizes, or I've had some people over this last week donate some money that we could take care of the prizes for them. Anything you guys could do. Normally, I don't ask for a whole lot because that's just how I am. But for the kids, I'll take anything I can get, because I absolutely love making these events. Great for the kids. Most of you have seen these events happen in the past. They are a ton of fun. These kids, 9 times out of 10, they put on a better fishing show than the adults do.
It's great to watch.
Normally, lots of fish caught, and you just never know what these kids are going to say. So it's a ton of fun. So we're still looking for a few more kids to get this thing filled up, and some more prizes to try to make every kid that gets in, make sure they walk away with something to remember their day with. And we've seen it every year. There are kids that this is like their first time they really get into fishing. And next thing you know, they're hooked, and it's something they love and enjoy, and it's contagious. So the way I say it, the more kids that are fishing, the less they can afford drugs and bad stuff, because once you start catfishing, you can't really afford anything else.
No, you can't afford any of those bad habits then.
Let's see. Daryl needs Stan 3 says, all right, hey, Stan, shoot me a message with their ages, more so just so I can – with the messages, I'm trying to keep everybody in track. I've got a handful of folks signed up so far. But if you don't mind, shoot me a message real quick, especially with their ages, because we do have different age brackets, and we're not putting, 5-year-olds up against 15-year-olds. So we'll try to, we got enough prizes to go around. We try to break it up and make it as fair and fun as possible.
Yep.
So I just wanted to throw that out there. Actually, next week, we were going to do it this week, but a couple kids couldn't get on the show. And to be honest with you, with us being at the gathering, I did not get it set up well enough. I wasn't happy with what I had prepared for tonight. And honestly, Mikey we've been trying to get Mikey on the show for a while, and his schedule just wouldn't allow it. And he messaged me this week and said, "Hey, I actually have an opening. I can do a Tuesday night." Perfect. Let's do it. We've been trying to get you on here for a long time.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to put out there that if you guys are going to try to do this, the content creation on Facebook, to make sure you post original content. I've seen a lot of people try to get into it, and they're posting content that's kind of been reused, and you'll get flagged for that from Facebook real quick. Yeah. And then if you do happen to start making any money or something, you get them restrictions on you. Facebook pulls that monetization from you, and so make sure you just go out and catch a fish. Post that fish. Don't put it with somebody else's. They'll get you quick.
There you go. Right. That's good advice. Especially when it comes to music. That's my biggest fear is
I've stopped using music on all the reels, just because they give you a list of what they call copyright free. But I've seen some other people still using some of that music, and then they hit them with a copyright, and it's like, it's not worth it. I would much rather hear on my reels, if the drag's screaming, I'd much rather hear that drag screaming than some music in the background anyway.
Right.
Or hear me fish on.
Yeah, I agree with that. But the music sometimes can add some suspense and some comedy, some level of entertainment. But I'm the same. I'm afraid to use hardly any music anymore because it seems like no matter where you get it, you can get dinged for it. So it's like,
well, I see that you use Power Director. Some of that music, I can get away with some of the music on YouTube. I haven't tried any of that music on Facebook yet. So
Power Director is actually Kelly Bull, the intro video and the spotlight videos. I haven't made a production video in a while, but I use KineMaster. But I haven't used it in a long time.
Yeah, so we're using Filmora right now. We have the paid part that comes with, once you pay for that extra package of Filmora, it comes with a long list of music, and that's what we've been using. And we did have to contest one. YouTube tried to do like, oh, you're gonna share revenue on this video because of this song, but we contested it and emailed them back and said, look, this is from a paid subscription through this, and gave a confirmation number, and boop, that was it. It went away, and that's been it ever since.
I actually had a copyright strike because I was drifting Newburgh. There was a guy up there singing karaoke, and he sounded just like freaking Garth Brooks.
Really?
So they thought it was Garth Brooks on a freaking radio.
Oh man!
I'm like, I promise you, it's him.
Yeah. There we go. I have enough trouble with just doing the editing, let alone adding music. Clearly, Skip's videos have been turning out pretty good here lately. He's got a lot of cool cuts and fades and stuff. Ed Jenkins says the same thing. I have enough trouble turning the camera on. I'm so bad I couldn't even find my camera this weekend, so that's how bad it was for me. I knew I had my GoPros with me. I could not find them, and I found them today. That's how bad it was for me.
You'll have that on them big jobs.
I spend a lot of time. When I get to work a little bit early, I always get there, drink my coffee, and plan my day or whatever. Monday mornings, I kind of just chill out, and I really open the phone, and I take my extra phone. I put the SD card in here, and I was kind of just scrub through some of that and look for the reels. It's so much easier to just edit the reels on the phone. And a lot of guys will walk up and be like, "What's going on there at Greenwell Production?"
Yeah. I don't know how you scrub through an entire day of fishing, man. I only like the looping or hindsight features is what I like on my cameras.
Well, when I got the GoPro 8 and the GoPro 9 that I have now, they cut them down to 11 minutes and 47 seconds per clip. So it takes 8 hours and it puts them into 11:40. It'll probably be 30, 11 minute, 47 clips.
Yeah.
And so you just kind of scrub through that. And when I get to one where I know there's a fish or whatever, I actually write down, if you pause it and you click on it, it'll show that number. It'll be GX008, whatever, dash MB4. I'll write that down in case I lose it so I know where it's at again. I got my little system. It's wild, but it works.
As long as it works.
Yeah.
I don't even have a system anymore. I've gotten out of production videos for so long that I got to start all over. I mean, it's all relative. I mean, you kind of get the hang of it, adding layers and all that stuff.
That's what yesterday making that video. It was so easy to make because, like I said, 6 minutes of it was just talking. So it's like, I'm about to do some more of that. That was easy. Well, I'm working on a video from this past Saturday. That's going to be a while because we had 2 cameras on the boat, and then he gave me his SD card that he was running. So I'm going to have 3 SDs to go through and try to get some footage. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of work putting into these, goes into these videos. So, well, man, it's almost 9:30. I know Jeremy's got to get up. I got to get up early too. And so, Mike, we appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us, man. It's been a while.
For sure.
Fat Boy Eric's in here. He's just been running his gum on you, saying he's going to catch a whole bunch of fish Friday night, and want to know if you're ready. You might just stay home.
You have fun. I'll be in the bed snoozing.
There he is.
That's my cue right there. That's my cue to get out of here.
Supper's done. It tastes so good. Well, hey, Mike, appreciate you again. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us tonight. We'll be back next Tuesday night, same cat time, same cat channel. Don't forget
Appreciate y'all.
Catfish for
Appreciate
Kids.
y'all having me.
Hey, man, anytime, brother. Love you.
Bom peixe, everybody.